Are you ready for love? Hi, I'm Marcus Holmes, the facilitator of the Love and Stuff community, and we're ready for you to join us on the next episode of The Dating Game. Forget all of the social distancing. Let's get up close and personal online. And who knows, you might make a heart connection that will lead you to a private Zoom room date. Inbox me now at Marcus R. Holmes or at Love and Stuff for your opportunity to connect closer while we are so far apart. Stay safe and be well. And welcome to Love and Stuff. I am your facilitator of the Love and Stuff community, Marcus Holmes. And what a pleasure and privilege it is to have you join me and the entire community here at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So wherever you may be around the world, the country, we thank you for tuning in. If you are in Detroit, Michigan, if you are in Houston, Texas, or Richland Hills, Texas, or Dallas, Texas, or Forney, or Los Angeles, California, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Memphis, Tennessee, if you are in Kenya or Nigeria or the UK, we're thankful for you wherever you are, and we appreciate that you are here with us and have taken some time out to spend some time with us in the Love and Stuff community. We're live on Restream on YouTube events, Twitch TV, and Facebook. So I'm asking whichever platform that you are on now, that you will click share and tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends or friends on your platform, 5 of your more popular friends to join us in this discussion. So I'm hoping that you're clicking share right now as I'm looking across platforms and welcoming all of you to join me. If you want to join us live, we will be placing the link to join me live here in the comments, here live rather. And if you will just drop in the comments where you are, if you are in Metro Detroit, if you are in Kenya and you stayed awake, if you are in Los Angeles, California, wherever you are, if you're in Wichita, Kansas, wherever you are, drop in the comments where you are and what the temperature is like where you are. All right. It is 32 degrees here on the northwest side of Detroit, and it is cold. It has snowed. It snowed. I was talking to someone in Texas. Of course, they had some 50s and 60-degree weather, and I would trade quite a bit to do that. So wherever you are, click share and tag someone to join us in the discussion. I want to make sure that we are all in the discussion, and what a great discussion I think this will be. What a fantastic discussion. All right, a little bit of a pause there, okay? Trying to make sure our connections are strong. I want to thank all of those that supported us Friday in our Stuff with Love, a spoken word experience. We experienced some things, all right? We had some extreme challenges, but you hung in there with us, and we're so excited that you did. And so for those of you that hung in there with us, we got a special treat coming for you on December 23rd, a special access for those who were there, and those of you who want to join us in love, I can't think of the title of it. I should have wrote it down. But we have a special Christmas edition on December 23rd at 7:00 p.m. And we want you to join us, and I hope that you will join us. It will be filled with music and some narration and some drama and some dance, and you want to be there. It is, again, an access-only event, and so drop a note to us in the inbox so that we can make sure that you are there. All right, and I'm just checking this because it looks like it's trying to give us a little challenge. All right. We're going to be fine. We're going to pressure through it, push through it. And then I had to thank you again for those of you that joined us Thursday during Thanksgiving from noon till 8 p.m. We had a stellar cast of voices in the Love and Stuff community who came on and shared their Thanksgiving space with many of us who had to pivot, right, and have Thanksgiving a little differently. And those of us who've experienced losses, we wanted to have a place where we could share with you. And many of you did just that and share with us what a blessing that was. And we look forward to having that kind of great fellowship with you again. All right. I want to make mention, because I don't have the commercial handy, but I want to make mention that you can still get 10% off of anything in the Love and Stuff store. You go to hr-passionguide-shopify, myshopify.com, our Shopify store, and you can purchase anything there. You get 10% off if you use the coupon that says Spread Love. Use that coupon. And in addition to that, because we want to be a blessing to families who, some of them are out of work and trying to homeschool and have children that they're trying to feed. Many of them are connected to food banks. We want to ensure that we have the opportunity to be a blessing to them as well. And so 35% of the net proceeds of anything that you purchase on the Love and Stuff store, our Shopify store, will go toward helping those families. And so if you want to do some donations directly, inbox us at Love and Stuff, but we want you to purchase the gear, of course, so that we can, of course, help families across our country who will need some assistance during this time. It's an unprecedented time. So I want to make sure that we had those quick announcements. Bilal says this code. I see that Corey Mildred King has joined us, Robert Cooper, Michael Flanoyo. I hope all of you that are joining will click share and tag some folks to join us in the discussion. And while you're doing that, we're going to take our quick break and hear from one of our Love and Stuff community members, Enrico White.
Who do you know that's looking to buy or sell real estate? I'm Enrico White, a North Carolina realtor with Keller Williams Premier. The Charlotte, North Carolina market is one of the top 10 markets in the country. Nearly 100 people per day moving to the Charlotte area, and you need a realtor. Not in North Carolina? I would love to refer a realtor to you wherever you are. Feel free to reach out to me, 980-777-9157, or look at my website, enricowhite.kw.com. Realtor Rico to your rescue.
Thank you, Enrico White, who is in the Charlotte area, for that commercial. And he says, even if you're not looking to move to Charlotte and you're looking to find a realtor, he can connect you with one wherever you are. Isn't that wonderful? We want to ensure that if you're looking to move to Charlotte, which they're having a boom in mobilization in that area, that you reach out to Enrico White, who is here on Facebook, of course, and is a part of the Love and Stuff community. Thank you, Enrico. I see AC Bradford has joined us as well. I hope that all of you that are joining will click, share, and tag some folks to join us in the discussion. And if you want to come with us live in this discussion, we will drop that link in the comments very shortly so that you can join us live. But wherever you are, just drop in the comments, hey, I'm here, I'm in such and such town, and here's the weather. Just drop the weather where you are, wherever you are around the globe. All right, so I want to just again make mention that you can go to our Shopify store and purchase the coupon code is Spread Love. No spaces in between, just the word Spread Love, right? It is one word. It'll give you 10% off your entire purchase. And we have new gear, Let Love Spread Like a Pandemic. And this is the fitted shirt that it's in. All of the writing is in red, but there are multiple colors for the shirt. You can choose any color you like, but it is fitted. Wonderful. It's fitted for this one, but there are t-shirts, hoodies. I'm trying to pull a hoodie. There are hoodies. Spread Love, and if you wanted to get up your love game on the back, which is our signature hashtag, you're welcome to do that as well. 10% off. Products range from $18 to about $34, depending on your size. For some of the larger sizes, it is a few more cents. And it gets shipped directly to you. So we don't have, the inventory to do an in-house store at this time. It's shipped directly to you, and you can purchase as much as you like. Remember, 10% off, and then 35% of the net proceeds after the cost of the t-shirt, right, go toward helping families during this time, help them to pivot in the pandemic, okay? We're going to get right into our topic, and I thank all of you for being here. David Carter, thanks for joining. I hope you will click share and tag someone to join in the discussion. We're going to get right into our topic. And hopefully our senior associate producer will be pinning that in a moment, but I will read it and maybe I can pin it. There we go. How about that? We can do that. Let's pin it. We'll read the topic and pin it. All right. All right. Fantastic. Okay. We'll pin that topic. All right, while we're pinning that topic. Fantastic. Okay, first we will pin the link if you want to join us. There we go. Okay. And then we will pin the topic. All right. Okay, we'll get that topic in there. Okay, thank you, J. Gerald. Here's the topic. And many of our topics come directly from the inbox, and I would love for you to send us topics. There is the link. Thank you. Hello, Corey Reed. Love for you to send us topics directly to the inbox. All right. We take these topics, and you don't have to reveal your identity. We'll take your topic and discuss it in the hopes that it might bring clarity and light to you and to others as well. Here is today's topic. She says, I said that I would never marry for money, but this time, next time, I most certainly will, she says. I got married to a man that I had known for many years and dated just a few. We married after 2 years of dating, and we struggled to bring our ways of life together. Thank you, J. Gerald. Thank you. His way of life, she describes as being check to check. Me, she says, buy what I can pay off in 45 days, unless a larger purchase. Him, rent, meaning that he rents. Her, rent so that my investment properties bring in monthly about 2.5 times my monthly mortgage payment. So her rental properties were rental properties, but she owned the property. Okay. I don't have it all together, she says in caps. Far from it. My father ensured that I understood finances because my mother, a stay-at-home mom, would have nothing to do with the family finances. Didn't want anything to do with it, okay? I thought love would fix everything, and I haven't given up on that concept. When I marry again, I want him to be the breadwinner. I want him to at least have as much as me. My ex came into the marriage with an 80% debt to equity ratio and left with a 26% debt to equity ratio. He came as a renter and left owning a home. Am I passing by opportunities for love with this mindset? So I want to ask you, and I'd like for you to come live with me. Does it make sense to factor? Does it make sense to factor in money? Bilal says, give her my number. Bilal. Does it make sense to factor in money when you are making a decision about your mate? I want to hear from you. Drop in the comments. Give me a like if it makes sense to factor it in. Give me a love if it makes sense to factor in. Give me a like if it should be something that you consider but not the primary factor. And give me a mean face if you don't think money should be a factor in whether or not this is the mate for you. All right. So give me a love if you say yes. Some of you just said yes, and that's fine. Give me a like if you say it's a factor, but not, the factor. And give me a mean face if you say money ain't got nothing to do with it. It really is about that person's potential and what I find out during the courting. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. Ingrid, who has joined us, and she comes with a resounding yes. All right. So I wanted to invite a mix of yes, and mix of rather married folks, divorced folks, somewhere in between folks, courting folks, single folks. Deontay Green commented earlier, who is a part of our Love and Stuff community and has his own AO podcast, which I think is doing very great. Or last time I watched, he said, "Don't tag me in this because I ain't getting married ever again." Well, I understand that you might not necessarily want to get married again, Deontay, but I wanted to get your opinion, right? You've been married, and there are people that are seeking to be married. There are people that are married. There are people that's tween, I'll call it tween, and there are people certainly that are divorced and or widowed. So I wanted to get a broad spectrum of responses on this, and I hope that you will click share now that you've heard the topic to tag some people, and the link is in the comments. Thank you, our senior associate producer, Jay Gerald, who is here. All right. David Carter says, why won't she continue to build with him? Well, they're divorced. Okay. They're divorced. And they're divorced. Of course, we kind of, David, sometimes through our inbox discussions, agree not to provide all information so that you can keep some kind of anonymity. But they're divorced, irreconcilable differences, most of them because these two lifestyles around money did not mesh. The lifestyles around money did not mesh. And so I asked her, and I'm going to ask you, is money a major factor when you're going into a marriage? So in this case, she says she doesn't have it all together, but she's got a little bit together, right? And she went into a relationship with someone who didn't have it all together, right? And maybe she thought they would build together, work together to change the mindset. Now, much as people do what I'd like to call marriage and relationship counseling, maybe people don't do financial counseling, and maybe that might be a good idea. So I want to hear from you, and Bilal says amen to Deontay. What do you say? Do you say that a number of you are saying yes? So I would love for one of you to click on that link and come in and talk with us. Talk with us and share, why do you say that? It'd be great if I can get someone who is married or has been married and someone that's single. Both opinions, because I'm a strong believer that you can be objective sometimes without the experience, and you can be objective with the experience, and you can be biased either way. Renee Thompson is saying yes, and thanks for joining us. I hope you will click share and tag some folks to join us in this conversation. So the link should again be in the comments. I saw it populate, but I'm gonna send it again because I thought I saw it. I'm gonna try it again. Tell me if you don't see it. I sent the link. Okay, there it is again. Hit that link and join us below. I'd love to have you. Michael Flanoil, I'd love to have you. Thank you, Jay Gerald. He's put it there too. And Ingrid Poole, I'd love to have you. I'd love to have all of you, but I can only have 10 at a time, I think. And I want to be careful with the 10 because we had so much trouble Friday. So if a few of you want to join now, I can certainly add a few of you now. Linda Darby has joined us. I hope, Linda, that you will click share and tag some folks to join us in this discussion. Drop in the comments where you are. What city are you all in? What's the temperature like there? And then say loves if you believe money is a major factor, likes if it's a factor but not major, and mean face if you should not go into a marriage without having major considerations around money. So I want to ask this money yoke, this money equal footing, is that required? And does that have anything to do with, does it shift by gender? Does money, if the woman has more, is that fair? Okay, I think I see Renee. Renee, I need your camera if you're gonna come on. I should have told you that before you clicked on the link. I gotta have your face, so show me your face. Yes, David Carter, it is cold. Now you said 28, I said 31, so we lost some degrees in between there somewhere. Okay, Ingrid Poole, all right, thank you so much. Sonia Sharice newly engaged, congratulations, has joined us. Thank you so much. We've been missing your beautiful face in our Love and Stuff community. Money is truly a factor, even more as you get older. All right, click that link and talk to me. Renee, I'd love to add you, but I got to see your face. Got to have your face on here. Got to have your face. So I should have said that. I'm sorry if I didn't make that disclaimer. To come on live, this is more. It's not really like a podcast. It's a live with your face. So you got to come with your face. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Got to click that button. Okay. While we're doing that, I'm going to take a quick break. I hope that you will join me in the link. Just one quick break. Brothers and sisters, if you are trying to get your finances together, by the way, we've got somebody in the Love and Stuff community that is here to help.
Welcome to Powerful Money Tools, LLC. At Powerful Money Tools, we are here to prepare for your future. We want to talk about financial freedom. Financial freedom is budgeting, credit building, and also financial education. So once again, welcome to Powerful Money Tools, LLC. We can't wait to help you in your financial future.
That was Christina Smith. She's a member of our Love and Stuff community, and she has a financial services company. She's already helping people in our Love and Stuff community get their financial lives together. And so, yes, to come live, you'd have to come through Restream when you click on the link. You'd have to come through Restream for those that are inquiring. Yep, I see Bilal. Yep, you'd have to come through Restream. And so I wanted to ask, now, we always think, we say hindsight is 2020, and when we see people in situations, we think, I think it's easier to watch somebody in a situation and say what you could do or would do differently. But I think it's also important to note that when you're in the midst of something, sometimes you don't give the kind of due diligence, if you will, to your relationship, maybe as you should. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're sharing comments. In this instance from the inbox, the marriage is dissolved. They are divorced. And so in her mind, they have both moved on. And so it's not so much of, will you all get back together, even though that was a question I, of course, always ask couples that are divorcing or have divorced. Because you've gone to a judge does not mean that you have severed the relationship. You've dissolved in the eyes of the law, the relationship. But it doesn't mean that you've dissolved the relationship, even in your own eyes. And I'll stop there. Even in your own eyes, you can divorce somebody and still not dissolve the relationship. All right. So you got to give some thought to that. All right. Okay. You got to give some thought to that. But going into a relationship, how many of you have or had conversations? Renee, it's not showing your face. So you are in the room and I appreciate it. I can grant you access, but it's not showing me your face. And that's why I haven't granted you access to come on camera, because there's no face to come on camera. Not yet. So you got to give your phone permission to use your camera, and probably in your browser.
Who do you know?
All right. We're trying to clear everything we can so we can resolve those connection issues. All right. All right. Good. All right. Good. I think we should be good. All right. Very good. Thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of a dip. We're having these connection issues with our platform, but we shall persevere. All right. So I have Renee here with me, but Renee, it's not showing your picture. Can you hear me? Yep. So Renee, it's not showing your picture. Now I'm not hearing your voice. All right. I'll give you a chance to work on it. Very good. Okay. So how many of you, drop in the comments, how many of you have had, some of you are engaged, how many of you are having conversations about finances? Give me some likes. Yes, we discussed finances. And not just, how much do you have, how much is in your 401k, but more an idea of what's your philosophy, what are your ideologies about money and its power, if you think that it has power, and your love for it and your pursuit of it, and how you use it, right? How many are having those conversations or had those conversations? And give me some likes there. And as a result of those conversations, is there anybody who, before continuing in a relationship, had those conversations and heard something that was a red flag to you? Anybody ever been in the situation where you were talking to somebody about money in a relationship, or you're going to start a relationship, or getting into a relationship, or developing a relationship, or I like to say deepening a relationship, and you're having conversation and something that they said raised a red flag? Give me some hearts if something that they said raised a red flag. I want to hear from you. Did you hear something that you said, oh, like Scooby Ruh-Roh? Did you hear something that made you say, wait a minute, hold on? Show of hands by hearts. Where you were like, I don't, Okay, David says, okay, put a heart up, okay? Watch habits. Thank you, Ingrid, but I'm asking this question. Did you see a red flag? Did you see a red flag? And doesn't necessarily have to be in your new relationship, because you are newly married. Congratulations. Give me a heart. You can put it in the comments, or you can just hit that heart button. Either one. You can do like David did and put it in the comments. That way I can see you a little bit more easily, but either one works. And of those people that put hearts, how many of you ignored it or put it to bed? Meaning you understood the answer, it didn't fully satisfy you, but you kept proceeding with the conversation, what relationship. All right, Renee, I think it's finally pulled, some things are coming together for her. All right. Hello there, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Now, Renee, where are you calling from? Where are you viewing from?
I am in Huntsville, Alabama.
Huntsville, Alabama. And what's the temperature like there in Huntsville?
It is actually cold today. It's like in the 30s.
Wow. Okay. So you got Detroit kind of weather. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And were you born and reared in Huntsville? Is that your area you're from?
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. So, and Renee, may I ask, are you single, married, divorced, widowed?
Divorced.
Okay. Divorced. Let me ask you, when you married your husband, did you all talk about money during the time that you dated?
A little, not as much as we should have.
Okay. And when I say talk about money and you say a little, did you talk about how you all use money, or just how much money you have? It was that basic conversation, or did you talk about, how you use money to advance your life and stuff like that?
Basically use money for necessities, bills, and things like that.
Got it. And did that raise a red flag to you at all during that time?
Not at the time.
Okay.
But it definitely was not a good move.
Okay. Would you say that you all entered into the relationship on equal financial footing, meaning you all pretty much had basically the same thing, or was one a little different than the other?
About the same.
Okay. And without having to delve too deeply, and you let me know if I'm going too deep, did money raise its ugly head at some point in the relationship? And if so, when?
It did when it came to spending, buying extra personal items, like let's say like a motorcycle or just something for yourself. Yeah, it did.
Okay. And would you say that did you all have the philosophy that your money was his money was your money, and it was y'all's money, or did you all keep separate bank accounts? Did you have assigned bills? How did it work?
We had separate bank accounts, and then we had one joint for certain bills. Yes, we
Okay.
had assigned bills.
And you all put a certain amount in each month toward the bills, or did you just have certain bills that you did that for? Like you would pay your own bills that you created, or how did it go?
Yes, I paid my the things that I was supposed to pay, like my own personal credit cards and things. I
Mhm.
took care of, and the joint was basically for the house.
Got it. So anything related to the house was the joint. And would you say that you all went 50-50 on the joint stuff?
No, he paid the mortgage, so no, he paid more.
Okay. And so when money started to come up, was it because you wanted to have say in how he spent his money? He wanted to have say in how you spent your money? How did money come up and raise an issue for you?
Well, if you're gonna buy something and then it hurts your ability to put the amount of money that you're supposed to put into the pot. That's when it became an issue. Like, oh, I'm gonna buy this, so this month I'm not gonna put as much money in. I'm gonna need you to cover that mortgage. That,
Mhm.
that type of stuff.
Mhm. And I guess over time, was it a pattern? If it happens once, that might be something, but if it happened every other month, did it become a pattern?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you address that, or how did he address that when the conversation came up? Well, no, I shouldn't have to cover your part, baby, boo, babe, however y'all communicated. I shouldn't have to cover your part. So, what was that conversation like?
Uh, but like that and arguments and it led to the demise of the relationship.
Really? So, money was the demise,
One of the major, yes.
one of the major things. Okay, thank you for sharing that. And so now that you're divorced, and you're a Southern woman, and believe it or not, men think all Southern women can cook. Maybe not all men, Renee, but most of us do. You're single now. Would you get married again?
I'm gonna say I do not need to be married again.
Okay. Now, when you say you do not need it, does that
Personally,
mean that you don't
I mean,
want
for
it?
myself, I don't need, it's how some women want to be married or they need to be married. I don't have to have that.
Hmm. But do
But
you
if
want to be married?
met, do I want to be?
Yes.
I Not necessarily.
Okay.
But if
All
I
right.
met somebody who really wanted that and we were in a committed relationship, if he wanted that, then I I probably would. But I'm not one of these women looking for a husband and saying, "Oh, I want to be married." No, not.
And David Carter is asking, can you cook oxtails? He's wanting to know, can you cook oxtails? Now,
Yeah, I can.
David, don't turn this into the dating
I
game.
can
I'm
cook.
about to get commission. Okay, so you can cook oxtails. All right, so here's my question. Let's say there's a man who meets you and says, Renee, you're beautiful. I'm dating to get married. I'm not dating just to hang out for companionship. I'm dating to get married.
Hmm.
What are the major money lessons that you learned that you have to discuss with him? What are the major things you learned about the money factor?
His spending habits.
Mhm.
If he has a savings 401k, um, what what a marriage looks like for him as far as his financial responsibilities in the marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's the major thing.
Mhm. And how long into the dating do you think that you would be asking these questions? Once he told you he was serious, or how long into it would you be saying, you got a 401k?
I don't. I think that can come up pretty quickly.
Hmm.
You know, you can let it come into the conversation when you're talking about jobs or just different things financially. I don't think that's a real personal question.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Uh,
just just the question, do you have 401k? I think
got
that
it.
can come up pretty
Got
easily.
it. And if he says yes, and at some point, will you be wanting to see more documentation to verify, or will you just take his word for it? It's about trust.
I would take, if it's early on, I will take his word for it. But yes, if we progress and he wants more, then yeah, we're gonna have to see what's really going on.
And what kind of documentation would you be looking for?
If he can open up his account and show it to me, he can print it out, just whatever. The mail that comes,
Mhm,
um, but something to prove that,
mhm.
that he does have
Okay.
something to fall back on, and when we get old and everything.
Mhm. Before I let you go, because you worked so hard to get on, and I appreciate it that you came on. When you're now, you said you don't need to get married if that's something that he wants, and you really felt like he was really serious about it, you would be open to it. Did I get that right?
Yes,
It's not something that you necessarily desire or want for your life at this point, but if the right fella comes along, you would be open to the possibility of getting married to him. Okay.
right.
And what is the one lesson, if there's any one lesson about the red flags you've learned that you would share with a person from the inbox who is saying, I'm going to marry, I want to marry and make sure the person's at least my equal when it comes to financial? Is there anything from your lessons learned that you could share with her about being equal with somebody?
Yeah, I actually agree with that.
Mhm,
Equal to me means not necessarily that you make the same salary.
mhm,
But let's say you have to have your own house, and it doesn't have to be a house, but you have to live by yourself at least.
mhm,
I prefer you have your own home, your own property. Um, you have to make sure they're responsible and they can live adequately off of the income they do have,
mhm,
and they don't need you to help them do that.
mhm.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Renee, thank you so much from Huntsville, Alabama. I appreciate it. Continue to be with us and love and stuff. Hang around. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. That was Renee Thompson, and she says she doesn't necessarily need a man, not looking for one, not one of those women that is chasing after one, but if the right one came along and wanted marriage, she might consider that and would want him to at least be able to handle his own. Okay. Give us some likes, and give me some claps for Renee for joining us, but give us some likes and loves in the comments if you agree with Renee that whomever you get with in a relationship needs to bring at least equal to the relationship, or at least be able to handle what they're bringing to the relationship. Give me some likes and loves in the comments. David Carter, click on that link so you can join me. I like you're saying, should bills be split in half after a certain age, considering a person have other children in debt before entering a new relationship? I think that's a great question. And raising David's question in the inbox, just drop in the comments, do you believe that bills should be split in half? Should bills be split in half? Or should whomever is coming bring to the relationship a certain level of equity in a property or whatever? So should a man who's going to marry a wife already have a house, if that's what they're planning to do, or should they buy that house together? And if they buy it together, do they split it? Should they split it? Give me some likes, give me some loves if you agree with that. Okay. And just checking in. Let's see. All right, good. Lena Brown has joined us. Thanks so much. I hope you will click share and tag someone to join us in this discussion. We're talking from the inbox about money. Is money a determining factor in whether or not you will proceed in relationship with someone? And for those of you that have been divorced, like Renee, or widowed, or and been in other relationships maybe that were long-term but didn't result in marriage, but you lived together, or you shared property together, or whatever it was together after a certain time, is it a bad thing, I guess is my next question, to say I want to marry for money. I want to put that out. Is that a bad thing, brothers? Is that a bad thing, sisters? Give me some likes and loves in the comments. Tamuk, thank you. Hit that link. Join us. I want to hear from you. And David Carter, I want to hear from y'all. So click on the link to join us. I'm very interested to hear from you. Okay, Tamuk, you saying no, yes. Come on in. I want to hear from you. All right, it's giving me a signal here. Okay. Now you should be able, oh, it's not letting you do it in the group chat. Ah, yeah. Well, put your comments here. I'll do it this way. You can either go back and join us on Love and Stuff, but if you stay here and you put your comments here, I can put them in the chat. I can do that. I can do that. All right, I'm going to ask Jay Gerald to join me and assist with that, please. Thank you so much. Our senior associate producer, Jay Gerald Harvey IV. Hardworking sir. Yes. So yeah, Jay Gerald, Renee Thompson is still, she's in the green room, but she wants to comment. And so I could either cut and paste her comments, of course, or she can rejoin us in the Love and Stuff community directly on one of the pages. But Jay Gerald, let me know however you want to handle that. All right. So Tamuk, I want you to join us. David Carter, join us. Sonia Sharice, because you're engaged, I'd love for you to join us. Just don't have your fiance watch it. No, I'm teasing. If you two are together, it'd be wonderful to have you come on. Of course, I want to have you come on another show, but I'd love to hear your opinion now that you are engaged to be married and you say that you are having these conversations. I'd like to know, what are these conversations? What are you saying in the conversations? What's going on? What are you saying? So I'm going to go back to this this mortgage situation, because that did come up in the inbox, because in this instance, she already had a home and they had a lot of discussion around him moving into her home, because he didn't want to move into her home because it was her home, but he was renting and she was a homeowner. So let me ask you this, fellas. Is that a problem for you to move into her home? Sisters, is it a problem to move into his home that he owns? Are you expecting, what are you expecting resulting of that? And if he has children prior to that marriage and has already built into the will for a portion of that home to go to them, how does that work? What are your thoughts? Sonia, you're never a mess. Come on. You can come and talk. We won't tell them. Click on that link so you can join us. I'd like to get the single but engaged perspective. And since Tamuk has been divorced, I'd like to get his perspective, as Renee spoke from the sisters who are divorced, which everybody's going to have their own nuance to it, right? But I'd like to give the opportunity for, both genders, if you will, to have some commentary who might sit in similar seats. So Tamuk, I'd like for you to join us. David Carter, I'd love for you to join us. Just click on that link that Jay Gerald has dropped in the comment. Renee says it's not a problem, but whomever cannot expect to be fully vested in the home because of marriage. It's not a problem, but whomever cannot expect to be fully vested in the home because of marriage. So Renee, are you basically saying, are you not expecting to get half of that house? Is that still the other person's house? Or now that you married, ain't half his, half yours? Or should it remain? What was yours was yours. Should your name go on the deed? I guess is what I'm asking. Better way to ask it. Should your name go on the deed? And that comment that says Marcus Holmes is via Renee. So she's in the green room here with me. And so I want to just infuse her comments right there. The expectations has to be set. A deep conversation has to be had, because after the fact, it's ugly. come talk to me, Bilal, about It's Ugly if you want to. Okay. But okay, post the link again, J. Gerald. We're trying to get all right, I gotta go back to the link now. All right, we definitely want to get Sonia in with us as well. Fantastic. Okay, that link should be appearing momentarily. And if you're joining us, we're talking from the inbox. We've gone back to the inbox to talk a little bit about one inbox situation, the money factor is what we're calling it today. And Tamuk Scruggs has joined us. No,
What's going on, brother?
Tamuk. Am I saying your name wrong?
Tamuk.
You let me say it wrong all this time.
Hey, man, I listen. I know it's all love, man. I'm not even tripping about it. So, I'm just trying to, as long as we can get the opportunity to just talk, man. I know you don't do it purposely, so.
Okay. Yes, I would do better if I knew better. Most times I do better when I know better. Sometimes I'm still behind, but most times I do better if I know better. All right. So I'm gonna get Bilal in here as well. All right. I'm trying to make sure I do better when I know better. Sometimes. All right. So if you got me playing in the background, you want to turn down the drive. So I'm gonna get Bilal in here as well. All right. I'm trying to make sure I do better when I know better. Sometimes. All right. So if you got me playing in the background, you want to turn down the drive. All right, I got some.
All right, can you hear me?
I can. I just heard me, and I'm like, not twice. Okay. All right. So I got Tamuk, and I got Bilal.
Down.
Right, and they're
I gotta get my sound.
High, sing to blue and gold. All right.
Give me a minute.
So Bilal, hold on one second. Tamuk, let me ask you. Going into a marriage, if she has a home and you are renting, what's that conversation like for you?
Let's see. Let me try to make sure I got the lighting good. So for me, for my second marriage, that is exactly the situation. It was exactly what the situation was.
Okay.
She had multiple properties. She had a main home. I was actually transitioning out of an apartment to a home. So when we first started discussing getting married, she had been in her home for so long that I was like, this is your home. This is your family home. This is what you and her previous husband, who had passed, had purchased for her and her kids. So for me, it was like, I don't want to live in another man's house, especially that has so many rooted memories in it. So we had the discussion. I ultimately ended up moving in because I didn't own the home at that time. Even though I have owned a home in the past, I didn't own a home at that time. So it was like, okay, so this is what we'll do. I'll move in. I'll take care of what bills, you need me to take care of or whatsoever. At the time, she didn't need that. She didn't need that from me. But the goal was to ultimately find a home once the kids were old enough to really finish high school, and then buy our own home so that we could create our own memories together. And if not, wait till they graduated from high school, find something in an area where they were still in the same school district.
Got it.
So, but the goal for me was never to move and be living directly into her home.
Okay. And so the home that you moved into with her, was it ever occupied by a husband or another man?
You said was the home that she lived in purchased with another man? Yeah, the home that she was in was the home that her and her husband bought.
Got it.
But her husband, like I said, her husband passed away, so he was no longer there, but that was just so she stayed in the home.
Got it. And how did you feel about going into that home where her husband, who was had passed away had lived?
I wanted to be respectful of the home and be respectful of him. A lot of it had to do with the fact that who he was as an individual in life and how he passed. He was a hero. So, I didn't want to come in and be disrespectful to that memory. I didn't want to be disrespectful to the home. I didn't want to be disrespectful to her and the kids. So, and I didn't want to just come in and be changing things, even though this was their home and he had been passed for a number of years. I didn't want it to just be a situation where I was trying to come in and change up her whole life and the family home like that. So, but the goal was, again, in being with me, it's us now, not, that was a part of your life, but this is what we're looking at now for this new life.
Okay. And questions are, of course, dancing in my mind, Timok. So going into a relationship, having been married and divorced, are you expecting the woman that you meet to be at the same financial status as you, or below, or above, or does it matter?
No. So for me, and this has been my catchphrase on a lot of posts, and for as far back as 2013, 2014, was love over everything. For me, it was never, it has never been trying to marry anybody for money. And part of that is because I understood where I was and who I was as I became an adult, and through my adult life, and having issues and things where I wasn't always financially in a position to take care of anybody else. And a lot of times barely able to take care of myself. But I also knew, hey, I'm a very loving person. I'm worth love. I'm worthy of love. And I didn't want people to look at me to determine what my value was based on what I did or did not have. So I decided that I would never marry a person based on love. I mean, based on money, and I would never let that be a situation. So when I actually got with my last wife, she didn't need a man. She didn't need nobody based, and there are very few people that would be able to match her financially. So it kind of worked out because we had talked about it, like, hey, look, before we get married, so that nobody has to have any kind of issues about me being here for your money or whatsoever, then we can. I want to do a prenup.
Wow.
And so the thing was for me, we'll do a prenup to protect all of your assets, with you being able to protect all of your assets, but still have access to anything that I have and anything that we grow in the relationship together.
Wow.
So that it'll never be so that it'll never be a situation where it's about anything else other than love and growing together. Because in this particular day and age, listen, even though she and I ended up separating and getting divorced, before her and now after her, the dating game sucks, because that's what everybody bases everything on. And it sucks because you can't live a life based on what a person finances are at any particular moment, because it's always fluid. Now, if you want to say, okay, well, let's get together.
I think it takes an evolution to get there. I think people do base a lot of things around commonalities based on their finances and exposure to finances. But I think it does take an evolution to not make it the major factor or the only factor. Because I think you're right, in the dating game, it is a major factor, probably for most people, because they have been in situations where it was the only factor that brought drama and other things. Because people talk about having money, but people, I don't think, talk about their philosophies and ideologies around how
Right.
they use money.
Programming.
And so I think
Right.
that's
Programming.
I want to jump in these comments. I'm talking to Mook Scruggs, whose name I've been mispronouncing, and I can't believe he wouldn't tell me. And Renee Thompson is responding in the inbox to David Carter, who was talking about, I think the new party should get a portion of the equity from when they enter the relationship, because the other party's children will always cause a big fight over the property if there's a death. David, Renee is saying to that, let me go back to her comment. And Martez is also chiming in. I believe he is here in the green room. Why should a person that has not contributed get automatic equity at some point if they pay or add? Or if they upgrade the property? I think she's saying equity is acquired over time. Interesting perspectives, and I think everybody needs to hear all of these different perspectives of this evolved over time equity versus, when you are doing vows. But I think it's an understanding you got to have. But when you're doing vows, it really is what I have is yours and what you have is mine, except you do what Tamuk does and have some kind of agreement about your positions prior to, right? But that is all about
Right.
the conversations I think you have to find yourself having, that most people talk about. They do talk about, do you have a good job? How long have you been there? Do you have a 401k? They might even ask you the balance, but that doesn't get to how do you use money, and how do you plan to merge our two philosophies and ideologies around money? I think that's important. Bilal, I think, disappeared. Bilal, you got to come back. Martez says security is a big factor. When a woman says she doesn't need a man, she has the security that she wants and needs, I think you're saying. When I say I don't need a marriage, does not mean I don't need a man. I just don't need the paperwork for commitment. Got it. I kind of got that earlier, Renee, and I was gonna hold it for another show because I do want to explore that. It's not off topic. It's a little tangential because there's this whole conversation around the covenant of marriage and why paperwork is or isn't important. And so I think that's a whole show and a half itself. But I think you raised a great point there. But I think, Martez, what a lot of women are saying is, I am secure enough in my financial position and in life that I don't have to have a mate. I think a lot of women are saying that. I think a lot of women still want a mate, but they're saying, I don't have to. And that's a whole nother show, I think, too, because I think there's some reasons why people have come to those conclusions. But yes, all great things for the show. Hello, Joanna. Oh, wow. I think this is one of our overseas folks. Thank you so much if you stayed awake, I think. Sonia Cherie says, I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong as far as joining. Okay, we got to help you out. Jay Jarrell will help you. Have the conversations beforehand so that you both are on the same page. All right, very good. Something happened to Tamuk. Determine what the short-term and long-term goals as a couple and move accordingly. I understand nobody wants to give a new person a free ride to the top, but what happens after a certain age? Yeah, David, I want you to come on so you can clarify. All right, I got Martez Turner who's joining us. I'm looking for Bilal and he disappeared. Oh, Tamuk came back, very good. Martez Turner, how you doing today, sir?
Hey man, how's it going, brother?
Good. And so you are a happily married man, beautiful wife. Going into your relationship, did you all discuss money?
Well, yeah, I understand. We kind of really didn't. We were kind of young, like we were in our 20s. I think I was 23, she was 22. So we would just Google out over the love aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But as we got older, we realized how money was very important. Well, security. And one of the biggest things is that, at least what I found out, is like with women, security is much more important than anything else at a certain point. They want to have the security of knowing that everything's going to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
and so all the Google-ness and the joy of love, it just doesn't cover the fact that they want to be secure. They want to make sure that the house is stable. They want to make sure that the bills are paid, making sure that the kids will be taken care of and all that. So finances are a key point. A key factor as it comes to being part of that happiness, the ingredients of happiness. So I can't look past it. And so when you said the money, being a factor, it is a factor. And as you become older, you realize that I guess that's why, well, I can't say for all of them, but some marriages run out because after a while, if there's no security there and you're always fussing and looking for that security and you don't have it, then it's like you give up because it becomes draining and it's tiring. And it's like, okay, you don't understand me or I don't understand you. And we're operating in two different paths or two different perspectives. And so then, you end up calling it quits. And I can't say that you stop loving each other, but the fact is, the draining of not being secure and having that security becomes overwhelming. So money is a key factor.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. What's the important money lessons that you've learned that maybe you're teaching your daughters? I know you have teenage daughters and a young adult daughter. One day, some guy's going to sweep Madison off her feet. What things are you teaching her about money and money lessons that you've learned in your marriage that you want her to carry forward?
Well, the truth is, with the society we live in today, I try to tell my daughter, okay, me personally, I want my daughter to come to me for everything. And I try not to leave anything out for someone else to try to fulfill that because I need them to feel secure from dad. And then I'm trying to establish their own security. Like, I mentioned in the comments, and one of the gentlemen mentioned it about when a woman says she don't need a man, what is she saying is, I'm secure on my own. So they have that safety that they feel that they don't need no one else to prop them up or to take care of them. And those are the same.
Is that the lesson that that you want Madison to have, that she
Yes.
should be self-reliant? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay.
Yeah.
And at what point did you learn that? Because you said you were 23 and 22. So at what point along your journey did you learn most about self-reliance?
Well, I learned it maybe about 5 or 6 years in our marriage when, because I was more, how can I say it? And I guess a lot of guys like this, I was more about buying stuff and saying, hey, I got this for you, I got that for you. And although she would appreciate it, but then she would look like, okay, but where's the security at? So you can be buying this and buying that, but then there's no security just in case the storm come. So then they don't feel comfortable. And there's, so then they're almost like, you feel like, well, I just got all this for you, but then so you have to understand that before you can spend all that or buy all that, the security has to be there first.
Got it.
And that's what brings the peace. And when you have peace in the marriage, then the joy comes and the happiness comes, and everything else kind of rolls together. It is a recipe, and there's a lot of ingredients in there.
Got it. And before I go back to the comments, what would you say to this woman in the inbox, because she's divorced now and she's
Right.
saying if she remarries, he will have to have what she has or more? What would you say to her?
Well, again, I mean, I don't know what age group she's in, but I understand what she's saying in the sense that he would have to have as much or more. But I would still say to her, keep an open mind, because it's not that he has to have as much or more, but his mindset. You want to find out where the man's mindset is, because even if he has less, but if he understands what she's looking for, if he understands, the perspective, and they are on the same wavelength, I think they could be successful together. It's not about I got $1 million, you got $1 million, and we're moving forward, but if we are at least thinking the same, it's like the scripture says, can two walk together unless they agree? If they can agree and understand that this is what we're looking for, security. We don't have to show the world that we got all this, but let's show each other that we are secure and that we're taking care of each other, and then we can move forward. I think that'll work out.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to the comments. Thank you so much. Okay. So Willie Cruz has joined us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining. David says, I understand nobody wants to give a new person a free ride to the top. I think I read that already. All right. Joanna Olarebi, if I said that correctly, or Olarebi, says, yes, money is a major factor. Joanna Joanna, I'd love to talk with you. Thank you, Jay Gerald. I think we're getting the link for Sonia Cherise. Thank you so much. Renee says, David, that makes sense, and definitely something should be done to use your spouse's taken care of. Make sure your spouse is taken care of. I think you're telling me. Yep. Tamuk says she's looking for someone with drive. All right, I want to talk to you a little bit about that in 1 second, Tamuk. Kristen Williams Lindsay says money is a major factor. So I'm hearing the women say a major factor, Tamuk, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. I wonder, is it because maybe there are a lot of women who have done relatively well and they are meeting brothers who maybe haven't done as well according to traditional standards? I think we have real traditional thoughts about what doing well is, versus, exactly what doing well might be. I think people have real traditional thoughts about that. So Joanna says balance is what it's about. Whatever that looks like, two people agree upon. Yes, he may carry it alone, but how much more would have, or how much more comfortable of cushion we have, there is other things he can do that we can agree on to keep balance. Good point. Great point. All right, I'm going to bring Tamuk back. So Tamuk, when you say she's looking for someone with drive, I want to ask you, because a lot of the sisters are saying money is a major factor. And in your situation, you married someone who was doing better than you in that regard from a financial standpoint. And so,
right.
Do you think it would be the same if you were doing better? Would you have the same thoughts if you were doing better than she was?
Definitely, because I've been in situations, I've been in relationships where I was doing better than the female. Just so happened for this particular relationship, she was doing far better than me. Mm-hmm. But that was my whole point, is that people's situations changes. Now, based on what the numbers say, most Black women are out here. Well, it's being promoted as most Black women are doing better than most Black men. Mm-hmm. The issue is that in the process of those women obtaining the levels that they have and starting new businesses, and with 75% of new small businesses being started by Black women, mm-hmm. you have these women who have had to manage the household, pay the bills, do all of these things. They basically had to raise and take care of other grown men who may not have had the drive to get to where they want to be. So you add in all of the other factors like systemic racism and all of the other things like that. So now that they've become established, it's an issue with how they deal with men, because the men haven't been able to match those situations where they are, because society just hasn't had it set up for men to be able to do that. And the men who have looked at women and said, well, the only thing you want me for is for my money, so why I'm gonna deal with you? Mm-hmm. When I can go find me a white girl or Eric Rick who gonna look at me like the king and God that I am, and all they want to do is be loved, because in their societies they're not being respected as women. So it's a trade-off. But from the individuals that I've been meeting, because being out here in the community service field, you come across a lot of established women who are looking for men who are capable of matching their drive. They may not be able to match their income, mm-hmm. but they match their drive. So most of the time when a female says this, he got to have what I have, is because they want to see the man trying to and working towards obtaining the things that they have. Not so much having the finances, but just being able to.
Mm-hmm. What do you say to this woman who, hers is a little different? She wants him to be able to match her financial status. So, in her previous relationship, her ex-husband was a tradesperson, okay? But he wasn't at the level where she was going into the marriage. He progressed in the marriage, right? But he wasn't at the level where she was. And so she's looking for someone who has that financial status that she has. So do you still see that as the function of his drive, or where he is in that station in life?
I think that at some point she needs to look at the reason for why she wants that to be why she wants him to be at that same level with her financially. Because at the end of the day, COVID has shown that regardless to what your financial position was in 2019, it may not be the same come 21.
Yeah. And it may be better for some, right?
It may be better for some. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're the only thing, if the main thing that you're looking at in how you are going to manage a relationship is where a person is, because I mean the reality is ain't nobody about to show you no bank statements. I wish someone would ask me about my bank statement.
Well, I wanted to ask you that because I knew that was going to be your response. I wanted to ask you when Renee said, as we go along, we have more conversations. At what point can she ask you, Tamuk, about your bank statements? At what point?
And again, I'm gonna use my marriage situation as an example. It came with the conversation of.
Before you do that, now you're talking about the second marriage, because I'm more interested in the one where maybe you could tell me that one, but I guess in my mind it didn't matter as much if she had way more than you. Maybe how much you had really didn't make as much a difference. But I'm interested to hear that. Bilal was saying I disagree. Why not? But I want to hear at what point is it okay to say to run me that Bank of America statement for the last 4 months?
Yeah, see, even in my first marriage, it was never a point where in the beginning where we sat there and was like, well, I need to know how much money you make. Okay, I know you got a job. Well, how much do you make? Okay. But people always constantly trying to guard themselves against people trying to use them. They don't ever tell the truth anyway. It's like, now, look, I tell people all the time even now when I meet individuals out in the community and they ask me, well, what do you do? If it's not a community function where I know that people know exactly what I do, I tell people, look, I work at the McDonald's potato factory. Because
so
again, I lie like a bad rug. Because again, people will try to dictate how they deal with you based on your finances. And so
is that fair? Should someone be able to dictate how they deal with you based on how you have handled your finances?
No, they shouldn't. Because again,
why is that not fair?
Because it shouldn't be. Even though people do it, it's not fair. Because again, you're not always fully informed of what and how I've been trained to manage my finances. Because again, nobody knows how I manage my finances. I don't talk about if I actively trade stocks or on day trade or pick stocks, or I have multiple businesses. For the most part, all people know is, hey, he's in skilled trades, or either, hey, he works for the McDonald's potato factory making French fries. That's what they know. But in speaking with my wife at the time, it was us talking about life beyond finances and where we wanted to be for our future. And in those conversations, that is what dictated the trust and the security of discussing, all right, well, if we're going to combine our assets in order to grow our relationship together for the long term, let's see what we have, where we are, and what needs to be done in order to get us to where we both know issues, experiences for us as a couple, us as a family, and us as grandparents for our kids. And that's when we had the discussion about bringing all our assets to the table under a prenup. And found out. Well, other than that, she never asked me about my bank account, and I never asked her. I didn't know how much money she had. I didn't know she had as much as she did. until
Got it.
we brought everything to the table. But beyond that,
Got
you don't need to know all that.
Got it. I'm going to go back to the comments. Willie Cruz has joined us. Jimmy Settles has joined us. Thank you both for joining. All of you that have joined, I hope you will click, share, and tag 5 of your closest Facebook friends, 5 of your more popular Facebook friends to join the discussion. Then I'm going to double back to Bilal. David says it may be better to keep separate assets for the first year of marriage and then make changes the second year so you can see what you're really dealing with. I want to ask you about that, David, even though you won't come in the room. Martez says, I believe it's more about security. Money is the term that is being used. And Martez, I think for our inbox consideration and to Mook's situation, she has security already. And so I think she's looking for him to bring an equal level of financial position to that, because her security won't be interrupted by that necessarily. At least that's been the discussion. Renee says it's not realistic for a Black woman to say a Black man has to have as much or more. I don't know if that's an indictment on us. I don't know, Renee. I'm not sure. Well, I said 401k, but yes, in marriage, we need to see each other's bank statements and credit standing. Renee is laughing at me laughing. Thank you, Renee. Bilal, so you said show bank statements. Why should you see the bank statements?
Well, here, let me start with this. Because one thing that Tamuk said is when you're dating, you gotta pretty much, you gonna tell them that you're working at Burger King or something like that, or the potato place. But see, that's where we mess up. The thing that we don't do is take our time to learn the individual, because once we start talking about marriage, we should be talking about any and everything. Everything is now on the table. Everything from past sexual partners to kids' flaws or what have you, special needs, money.
Yeah.
Money is huge.
Okay.
And if you don't talk about a person's spending habits and you wait until a year after you get married, then you're going to start putting stuff together, then you got surprises. Because during that time that you're together, so you're still in the honeymoon phase, and the heart is talking and the mind is not. The brain is not watching. But all of a sudden you start seeing things like, oh, okay, you done bought this, or I'm doing all of X and you're not contributing Y. And
Let
so
me ask you, Bilal,
go ahead.
if you're doing all of X and not Y, isn't that a conversation that you have beforehand though?
And that's my point.
That you would have that conversation beforehand to say, what's your philosophy about how you spend money? And is our money your money? Is my money your money? Hey, I got kids. How do they factor into this, or whatever, the actual nuances of the relationship are?
Absolutely.
But does that include having to review a bank statement? Is my question. I'm taking you back.
A bank statement, a credit report, all of the above.
Tell me why a bank statement is important if it's not in the red. Why do you need to see the bank statement?
Because first of all, you're stepping in front of the Lord saying that you're about to take this person for better or for worse. And if you're going to have somebody come into your life and you're about to connect with this person and say that you're one, then I need to know from your bank statement to your health statement to your credit report, what is there about you? See, it shouldn't be surprises, but sometimes we allow the surprise because we're in love.
Got it. And so if you see the bank statement, that will change maybe what you want, whether or not you proceed in it. If the bank statement is always in the black, the bills get paid, you want to see how much she spends on hair and nails.
Absolutely, because
does that matter to you if she manages her money? If her thing to do is get her hair and nails done every week, but it doesn't break the bank, do you need to see the line items? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yes.
And tell me why.
Yes. Because here's the thing. Okay, first of all, I'm about to contradict myself, but because I fell in love with her, because she's spending that money, getting that hair and nail done, and then the nails done, I shouldn't have a problem seeing it on bank statement. Then I know what I'm working with.
But why do you need to see it is what I'm asking.
Because when you get married, if something happens, like for instance, COVID, and somebody loses their job, how are we going to handle the tough situations? That's just one example.
I don't.
Okay,
I guess I'm
let me ask the question right there.
Bank statement, because I'm not sure if she has something on her bank statement that she's going to have to reduce as an adult, I think because she's bringing a whole person to the relationship, as an adult, she would have to reduce that. I'm still not sure I'm understanding the answer to the why of the items on the bank statement. Because that, I don't know. It just, I don't know. Maybe
It
it's
shows
just
the
maybe.
pattern. Well, see, because when you're getting married, you're
Mhm.
opening yourself up and she's opening yourself up. There should be no secrets. So
What-
no matter how you
Mhm.
spend your money should not be an issue. See, it's the money, it's the credit, it's the health. I mean, you have to know it all.
Yeah, I think you do need to know how somebody handles finances. I don't disagree with that. I don't know if you need to know all of the line items of what someone has on their statement. You know, you might want to know if they have another mortgage, but that's a conversation as you're building trust, I think. And
That's a
that's the
conversation
conversation.
to build trust. Absolutely.
Well,
So
you could build trust that way, or you could build trust, you know, maybe considered a more traditional way, where you trust that what the person is telling you and demonstrating to you in the managing of their finances is never overdrawn, and you all discuss who's going to pay what, and you know, okay, we're going to tithe together. We're going, if you're Christians, we're going to. I'm going to pay the mortgage. You're going to pay the insurance. Whatever it is, if you all have a sense of the obligations, I'm just wondering. And two adults, it's interesting to me to hear both sides of the perspective, and I appreciate that. I'll go back to the comments real quick. Let me go back to the comments real quick. David says, what if the marriage is short-lived? You can't really expect to get a portion of a person's 401k or savings if it's short-lived. I would, if I got married, David, tomorrow and died the next day, my wife should get everything I got that I haven't had a discussion with her belongs to somebody else. That's just my thinking. I'm just one person in that. David says, I married Kobe's wife and 2 years we divorced. Do I really deserve 300 million? Yes. That's what I say. Yes. Joanna says, Brother Bilal, you are on a point. Bank statements don't lie. It gives you more of a picture. So that the part I'm concerned about is bank statements don't lie, Joanna. Are we looking for lies? Because to me, that's no way to build a relationship.
No.
It gives you more of a picture of what we both dealing with. It could help establish the foundation. I need to see habits that I may not agree with. Money problems will destroy anything good before it can get great. I think these are great comments, and I think it's a great discussion. I'm just not sure as an adult. I'm with Tamuk. I'm not sure that you're going to see line for line what's in my bank statement before we get married. I'm not sure you will, but we're certainly going to talk about how I spend my money, and I'm going to be able to demonstrate that I'm not overdrafted, that I'm not keeping some baby mama somewhere or some side chick. Those things I think are important, but those are most important in the conversations as you're building trust, because now you're doing Inspector Gadget investigations. To me.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Okay, so would you rather be surprised after you got married or before you got married?
I don't think that I would be surprised. And I think if you're having the conversations, this my thing, you've been married, you know, you can tell you and Tamuk can help me out, right? But I think that if we're having the conversations before marriage and we're having the real in-depth conversations, I'm going to determine whether or not what you're telling me is something that I can trust and believe in. And that's how I'm going to build the foundation of a relationship. I'm not going to say, okay, now prove that this line item means this. Not for me. For me, it would be, hey, you know, you show me your bank statements and your overdraft, or you got all these overdraft fees. You know, at the bottom, it says year to date, you got $569 of overdraft fees. Let's talk about that. That's the discussion I want to have, not because I let my girlfriend, here's the line item where I cashed after. I don't think I need to see that. I need to know that you're not managing your money in a way, and we need to have a conversation about that. And I need to respect you as an adult to come to some agreement and say, I'm not going to carry these habits into a new relationship, whatever they are. Maybe the same way to get to, maybe more than one way to skin a cat, but I just think when it's two adults, it could land on the other adult that you're controlling, and to some degree, people shun away from that controlling.
You know, the brother who you had
so
earlier.
Go ahead. I
Say
was
it
going
again.
to say, even with all of that conversation, I'm not understanding what any of that has to do with you loving somebody and wanting to be in a relationship with somebody. It's a difference between you saying you don't want to be with somebody that has bad habits, and you want to see, you know, what those you want to see those bad habits. Because again, if you're going to use this philosophy of saying, well, hey, I need to see your bank statement. I mean, people say that they smoke or don't smoke, and you can smell smoke on them, but you don't always see them smoking. But you still end up staying with them anyway. But when it comes to loving somebody, you saying for better or for worse, but then you saying you ain't willing to accept whatever it is in their finances or whatever their financial situation is in order to be in a relationship. So you really ain't trying to be for better or worse. You trying to be in a situation where it can only be the best,
So
regardless if there's going to be a surprise or not.
you're at the other extreme. I think you guys are at polar opposites. Because what I was saying was not quite that. I was trying to help you, but I can't help you no more.
Can I jump in?
Just before you do, just before you do, let me just say this.
Sure.
I think it is important for better or for worse, but I think you have the right to know what the worst is before you get into it, right? And I don't know that you have, the only way to determine the worst is to get line by line by line by line, is all I'm saying. I think that love can do a lot of things, right? But one of the things I think it does is it brings revelation, right? And if it's bringing a revelation before you get married to tell you what the worst is, then you get to make the choice if that worst is too bad or worse for you to continue. It would be blind to go in it and not know anything, right? And say, oh, well, whatever I get is what I get. You can do that.
I love it.
But that's probably not the most effective way to go into a relationship when you could have an opportunity. I'm just saying it could land on another adult as intrusive and controlling if you require a bank statement to see line by line. It'll be an interesting, there are some sisters who'd be like, oh, HE double hockey sticks. No, you're not going to have my bank statement. And I know there are some brothers like Tamuk that's going to say, my bank statement for what? I'm a grown behind man. But I think the conversation about the bank statement is more around, are you managing your money month to month, year to year? Are you saving your money? Are you effective money manager? And I'm not just sure that you need all of the detail was what I was raising. But I think it's important, Tamuk, for you to have some understanding of
Absolutely.
the philosophy and the ideology, if you will, of how people use money. Because some people use it to control. And if you don't want to be in a relationship with someone who uses it to be controlling, you need to know that before you get in the situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But Marcus, the other person is not the only one bringing the bank statement. I'm bringing my bank statement too. I'm not just asking you. And I just want to make that clear. But Joanne has a really good comment you should read.
Joanne saying, you're not looking for a lie. We are looking for compatibility or areas that we can do better in, because we are building. Remember, in my conversation, we let him know we cannot do this thing or that thing, like that would bother me. Yeah, I think you're going to have, but that's not necessarily because you see the line items. That's to my point, I think, Joanna. If you're having a conversation with someone and you're saying, well, tell me, do you smoke weed? Tell me, do you drink? Tell me, do you, are you on Pornhub? Tell me whatever it is that you do. Right? That's a conversation. The money will follow, but the real conversation is, what are the habits that you have that might be offensive to me, right? The bank statement to a grown person who some grown people don't want to get a bank statements when they're getting a mortgage. Trust me.
Right.
For a grown person, it could land on them the wrong way. It's all I'm raising. I'm not saying you don't have that conversation about the things, but those are things you should be having as a regular conversation anyway. What do you do with your time? What do you do in your spare time? How many baby mamas do you have? Are you paying child support to all of them? All of those are regular conversations. And to me to say, now show me how much, show me the line item, is drilling a little bit more than you may need to necessarily. That's just my thinking.
But see, I think what happens with the show me the line item is based on the person's past experience. Because I'll tell you, when I had my first wife, we met in college. And so we were broke together, you know, we were in debt together. We got out of debt together, and we built something together so that we actually have something. So because we did all that, and trust me, it was sometimes she hollered and threw some stuff at me, whatever. I threw some stuff back, but figure of speech, people. Anyway, but we did it together, and that was the thing. So, you know, when it's easy when you're down and you struggle together, that now I would come home and I would give this woman my check. You know, when we were getting bonuses, you know, and it was paper checks, she had no idea. I come home, get this woman my check because I trusted that she would do the right thing with my money, you know, and say, hey, give me an allowance. That's the trust that we built over those years. But then I think, like, if you go forward and say, for instance, you know, Marcus, you may meet someone and say you got $500,000 in assets. You know, you're just not going to take the one person that you met and she may not have anything and just trust her without having those conversations. And that's what I'm saying. That conversation, you know, it doesn't really have to include per se my bank statement. And let's sit here and line by line itemize it, and so you can see what I do. But it includes a conversation on how I spend my money. What's the expectation of where my money is going to go once we become a union, and how are we going to build upon what we have? Not just I'm gonna get into the relationship and I'm gonna take, you know. But for women, giving may not be monetary. Giving, like you say, is that security as well that they're looking for. And if they felt that they built their empire on their own, I don't need a man. So yes, they're going to be more guarded than a man. I mean, we like nurturing. You know, we want someone to nurture us. They want somebody to provide security.
Yeah. Let me go back to some of the comments. These are great. Both of you, Timuk and Bilal, great. Renee says, I don't like it if it's about reducing or just about frivolous spending. But yeah, I think that's a conversation. But what is frivolous to me, like someone was sharing, Renee, her husband purchased a motorcycle out of nowhere. There was no conversation. And that was frivolous to her. But they had never had the conversation where he always wanted to have a motorcycle and why it was important to him. So one person might think something is frivolous and the other person might have been saving for it. But that's all about conversations, right? It's understanding what's important to each other.
Hey, Marcus, here's another good example, though, not to cut you off. Let me
jump to these comments and then I'll come right back to you. Sure. I'm sorry. It's the mentality of discipline and money management, but shouldn't be a major factor of loving someone. I'm going to disagree with that, Timuk, but I appreciate it. The better and for worse is when the couple begins their journey together. Good point, Martez. Thank you, sir, for that. But a person can tell you anything. I think they can. But when people tell you who they are, really tell you who they are, it's going to show up again, Renee. It don't show up once. What we do is we ignore after they've testified. That's what we do. We get the testimony and we ignore the behavior that follows. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, well, maybe we won't just, I still feel like it's investigation. I'll find a better word. Maybe we won't investigate it to the hilt, but we will watch the behaviors and see if they match the testimony. Because people are telling about themselves all the time. I think we don't really follow the testimony. David Carter says it's just better to get a prenup because it's just a peaceful war before marriage. This way, everyone knows what's at stake before entering a marriage. That's one way to do it. I don't discount that if it works for the two people. It's got to work for both, though. Renee says, but the line items are important. People live secret lives. I'm not sure you should get married if you have things to hide. People hide stuff all the time. But again, in growing in a relationship, you know very well in growing a relationship when someone is bringing the representative and something else stands out to you and it rubs that hair on the back of your head, but you ignore it because you're in the Google phase, as you heard Martez said. You got googly eyes. And then you ignore that they done showed you. They said one thing, but they did another. And you end up not reconciling it. And so most times, the path to love deepens, not just grows. And when it gets deeper, guess what you get to? You get to the roots. And you get to find out why these behaviors are what they are. if you're willing to follow them. If you don't and you ignore them, you know, first it's the hair standing up, then it's the right? Then it's the whisper, then it's the brick. It's the thump on the forehead, or Oprah said about her grandmother, thump on the forehead. And I'm sure everybody has had a mom or my dear who thumped you on the forehead, right? Then it's the brick wall crashing. Well, what about that first hair that stood up? People are telling you little stuff about them all the time, and you can choose to accept it or ignore it. Somebody says, "Oh, I don't really smoke," and you get in their car and you smell weed. You don't ignore that, right? Somebody says, "Oh, I don't really drink that much," and they are lit every time that you see them on the weekend. You don't ignore that.
Every time.
I'm telling you. Someone takes you out to dinner and they say, "You know, baby, whatever you want, I'm just patient." But they cuss out the waiter. They ask for the manager. They don't want to leave a tip. They're telling you, right? But we ignore those things sometimes. We have a whole wealth of information by which we can say, okay, is this for better or for worse? Is there something I need to look at before I go into this relationship? Yeah. Well, I was saying what we often say here. Sometimes people send the representative, and I would, if I had a percentage, I'd say 89% of the time, you're going to meet the representative first and listen carefully to the representative and everything that he or she is trying to sell you. As a matter of fact, if you can do it, write it down. Everything they're trying to sell you, and then watch their testimony after that. Because some people are going to tell you, "Oh, I can't stand to be late," and they're late to everything. Watch that. Because somebody that's late to everything might be late paying their bill, but you got to watch that stuff, right? And if you ignore it, is that because it wasn't shown to you, or because you don't have the conversations and you don't take note of what you're being shown? I'm going to be strong for it to look today and say, because normally he and I we don't agree on much, but today I'm agree with him and say, I don't know if you get all of the bank statement data, but I think you do have a conversation about the bank statement. Do you have a bank account? You know, do you use payday loans?
There you go. Yeah.
So you have that conversation, because those are the things you want to know about how somebody handles money. Do you borrow short-term money to bridge from check to check? You know, do you always pay in cash? Is that because you don't have a credit card or a debit card?
Are your tax statements, are your taxes up to date? That's what I need to know. I need to know if your taxes are up to date. If you owe the IRS any money, you know. But again, you know, at the end of the day, it's all a matter of what you are really willing to work on trying to accomplish. And as long as you all are on the same page, trying to accomplish the same things, and you're seeing that work ethic in trying to get to that point, then all of those things are work themselves out. And where you ain't even going, because for me, I don't care how much money you got, because I'm gonna have my own. Even when I didn't have money.
I'm gonna say the last time, I promise. Tamuk, that's you. Most people care about money.
Right.
Money has an answer to all things. It's not the only answer, and it's not always the best answer, but money has an answer to all things. And so you better care about the money if you're going to be in league with somebody else. Now, how you care about it, to the degree that you care about it, or even care to manage it, that's going to be up to you. And each degree that you decide to move away from it, there are consequences and repercussions for that. That's up to you. But because money provides an answer to all things, it's going to speak to things in your relationship that you might have never thought it would speak to if you all don't have conversations about it. I want to go back to Bilal because he has some comment, and then I'll come back to you.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, money, because you took me a different place, but money solves all problems. And Tamuk, I know you say you don't care about the money, but what happens when your money runs out? You know, then you got to care about her money.
And you know what? That's interesting. That's really interesting that you brought that up, because one of the things that we discuss, and it's even one of the things that I talk with potential mates since her has been, how do you handle situations where what do you do when you lose everything that you have? Because I've gone through cycles where I've had to let everything go in order to start fresh and to be beyond toxic situations. So one of the things that I discuss now is how to survive when you don't have all that you may have had before. So one of the books that I ask people, have you ever read the Rich Dad Poor Dad series? Because if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or um, what's the other money guru name, David somebody,
Ramsey.
it talks about understanding how to go about getting things without having the money to do it, being where you really want to be. Because again, when you grow up in an environment where you don't have resources, then that person learns a different way of growing in life without having money. So even though you may have a bunch of money, you may not always have all the things that you want. But me not having all the money and resources that you have, I have everything that I want and may need. So we have to look at how those habits end up coming to the forefront in your behaviors. Because again, like Marcus said, people will try to use money as a means to control you. So if you feeling like,
True.
well, you ain't got as much as I got, so you gonna act how you want to act. No, you ain't gonna. I'm a man. I was a man whether I had $1 or $1,000 in my pocket. So you're not gonna
Absolutely.
disrespect the relationship.
Absolutely.
So
I agree with
it's
you
all a
100%.
process of behavior.
Okay.
So because again, like you talk about in the book, it's not about how much you have. It's about what do you do with what you have in order to get what you want. Because it's people. I'm telling you, when I was on Section 8 and didn't have a job, didn't have a car, I had more things than people who were working at like the auto plants. I had a friend who, yeah, she made far more than I did, but her bills, her habits were toxic to where I understood that for whatever little money that I made hustling, I needed to manage that to a point where I knew how to shop, I knew how to be thrifty, I knew how to be wise, I knew where to put money so that I could grow it. I knew all of those things, even though I didn't have a bunch of it, I knew how to make it work. And that worked out better for me, where she's still in debt. I don't have that kind of debt over my head. And those are the
Absolutely.
things that, I say, hey, look, I don't care how much money you got, because if your operating cost is $50,000 a month and mine is only $10,000, then I'm gonna be better off because you got to work so much harder than I do. And if you lose that 50 grand access, you in a whole lot different spot than I am. So
Yeah.
you got to be aware of how you want to utilize the relationship, because you ain't about to control me if you make it 50,000 a month. I'm gonna tell you, hey, look, we going to Coney Island today, and if you don't want to eat that ain't good enough for you, I'm going to Coney Island. You can go
Yeah.
wherever you want to go. It's gonna be
I
what it's
don't know
gonna
if
be.
that. I hear that, and I acknowledge that. I understand that. I'm not sure that a person that makes $50,000 a month won't go to Coney Island. I don't think that's saying that they won't. I think the acumen and lifestyle that they've been built to maintain that $50,000 a month, whatever, might be different than the person who. It doesn't mean that their tastes are necessarily different, right? It
Right.
just means that their habits around money might be different.
Right.
And that
Can
doesn't
I say,
always result in different taste.
so let me say this, because, like I always say, I grew up in humble beginnings, but I'm going to put it out there. My people was poor. And I said it that way on purpose. I didn't go out to restaurants as a kid. Us going out was going to Little Caesars, getting a pizza deal on Saturday. That was the extent of me and my family going out when I was a child. So I know what it's like not to have nothing. Going to Kingsway, I'm dating myself, and getting the $10 gym shoes through the rack, hoping I got the same size. And so now in my life, I don't have to do that. So will I go to Coney Island? Absolutely. But I don't have to go to Coney Island. That's the difference. I'm not going to live above my means. Just like any successful business, you have to make sure you have a budget and you strategize your finances. And if we just willy-nilly, then willy-nilly is not going to last long, because money solves all problems, but if you willy-nilly, that money's running out. I don't care how much you have. And so that's what I'm saying. I don't have to see your bank statement, but we need to have that conversation about talking about how you spend your money, how you operate your home business. And that's what it's about. And how we going to get to a home improvement. See, because I don't want to stay where I am today. I need to improve. And if you can't help me improve, then let's not talk about marriage. I mean, it's a lot of,
And so, Bilal, I want to ask you this, because I think I know how Tamuk will answer it. Tamuk will answer it. So, being where you are in your financial stature today, could you marry someone who is broke?
You asking Tamuk or me?
I'm asking you. I already know how Tamuk will answer this.
You should know how I'm going to answer that going forward.
I'm interested to hear what he's gonna say.
Okay, let's talk about it. Again, we're a product of our past experience. So when you're talking about broke, it depends on what that person.
No, man, you sugarcoating. Yes or no.
Okay, I'm put it out there. Going forward because of my past? Hell no. Not at all. If you ain't got nothing, you have nothing for a reason. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave you where you are. I'm sorry. But no, that's not me. Seriously, if we would have to have a long courtship, so we can talk about, where we would be, how you come into my world and how you're going to use my resources, but it's not about the money, honestly. If we can work together, and, you can live within your means, it's not a problem. But honestly, right now, because where I am, no. It's just because of the situation I'm in. No.
Okay.
I love Tamuka.
and Tamuka, you can't bring it together. But Sonia
That's
says,
why I said, give me your girl's number from the beginning of the show. No.
And Tamuk, I assume that broke or not, it would not matter to you if the love was there. Is that correct?
That is correct. And to make sure that we're all on the same page and understanding why that would be for me is because, again, it would be me looking at your habits and your drive, because I know that somebody that is broke today but is actively working to make sure that they are not broke long term for the future is someone that I can have no problem investing in. Like I said, 2007, I was sitting in a jail cell and had been struggling up to then. But 2008, I was broke, but I had crafted and created a plan to make sure that after a 20-year period, I would never be broke again, and I would make sure that I would leave generational wealth for my next 3 generations. So in the process of getting to in that 20 years, because when you say 20 years, people say, hey, man, that's a long time. But in reality, in establishing generational wealth, that is what has been shown from the majority of people who are vastly successful, who leave multi-generational levels of wealth. It takes about that long to gather the education, gather the experience, gather the resources and the network, and then to create that lasting entity to make sure that you no longer have to be broke. But if you don't have that kind of mentality and drive to create that kind of plan, no, I won't deal with you because you don't have that kind of mentality.
And that was going to be my core mentality.
That
was on the back end.
And so I just want to make sure you're saying broke is a state of being, not a mindset. And if it
That is
were a
right.
mindset, that the latter would be tough for you to connect with somebody. You
Yeah,
can connect with someone whose
that's
state
right.
of being is broke, but not their mindset. Is that correct?
That's right. That is correct.
So I have a question. How are you going to establish somebody has a plan if they send their representative and they're broke?
Because you're going to spend time with them.
I mean, you're gonna watch their. You're
You're
gonna
going to
spend time with them.
them.
You don't have to invest. Right. You don't have to invest a lot of cash or capital in somebody to spend time with them. That's one thing that. Hey, I've been broke, so I've always been able to figure out ways to spend time with somebody without it costing me a lot of money, in order to see what their habits was, and then to show them mine. So over time, that representative phase, because in that first year, you're going to see, especially if you commingle, you're going to see those habits, whether or not they are disciplined or not, in trying to change their situation. So you'll see that. And if you don't see that, hey, I love you, and we can have a situationship, but I'm going to continue to move on and look for somebody who has a level of discipline for the long term versus just remaining in the woe is me state of mind that you're in. I'm not going to ever be in a relationship with somebody that's going to stay and remain in a woe is me state of mind. That's never going to happen.
Got it. And Tamuk, we're going to have you back on for the situationship show, because I need to know.
I like that word.
I need to know what you mean by situationship.
I got you.
Yeah.
The situationship, right?
I got you.
I wrote that down.
All right. Martez says, understanding the mind of each other is key. I say it's best to share each other's views and future plans. That's great. That's great advice for her to consider. I'm going to bring in our senior associate producer before we close out, J. Gerald Harvey IV. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Can you see me?
I can see you and hear you.
I can't see me.
Well, you just cut you off. There you go. I see you. Yep, I see you. You appear on camera. So, J. Gerald, what advice would you give to this woman in our inbox? She does not want to marry a man that does not have at least what she has.
Hold on. I've been having all kind of difficulty trying to get in on this conversation. She needs to know that if that's her stance, then she's going.
Man, how much money do she got? That's what I want to know. To where she feel like
I don't want
she
you.
Don't want to be with nobody that ain't got what she got to.
I don't want you.
She ain't got much. But I need to see her line. I need to see her bank statement, because she might not have one.
Go ahead, J. Gerald.
She got to have more than Yale's market.
Go ahead, J. Gerald.
Here he go. So good evening, everybody. So my thing is that if she's going to go in with that mindset that money is going to be key and money is going to be everything for her, then she's going to be missing out on some of the other stuff. It could be the love or anything else, because her mindset is at one step of money and status, whereas a lot of times those things don't add up to the love that you may want. It don't add up to the type of family relationship that you want. It might not add up even to how he treats you. So it might be some things that she'll be missing, just searching for that, for the money, for the status.
Okay. All right. I'm going to bring in Martez, because I want our inbox person, and I'm sure she may have watched, so that she will see that there is a married, happily married brother. There's a situationship brother, I'm going to call it. There is a divorce.
I'm an in-between brother.
There are two divorced brothers.
Hey,
and all of them.
Don't call me a situationship man. No.
I didn't assign situationship to anybody's name. The only one I clearly identified is Martez Turner's happily married, so that nobody will be in his inbox and his wife won't have to go upside his head. That's all I'm doing. Everybody else is they where they are. I said what I said. So, but I wanted the sister to see these four guests that I have when she goes back and plays this, to see that there's a pretty broad perspective about what broke is, whether it's a mentality or a state of being, whether or not you need to be better or for worse before you get in the relationship, and understanding what that means to each person, that there needs to be a lot of communication, maybe even a prenup, but there certainly needs to be some level of scrutiny and some level of revelation. For some, it's the entire bank statement. For some, it's the balance. But that you got to be open to the opportunity that love might not fit the same financial fit that you have in your mind. It might be indicative of the drive and ability for a person that can meet you at a certain level where you all can have common goals. So I'm going to give you a quick second, each one of you, just to look at the camera and talk like you're talking to this woman who is ready to get married. She's ready to get in a relationship, but she wants a brother who has means, who has financial means. And I'll start with you, Martez.
Well, my advice to her would be just to keep an open mind. Again, he may not be able to match you dollar for dollar, but if he can match you, I guess one of the brothers was saying, with the drive, or at least have the same mindset to be successful, or to and successful. Everything is relevant, But if he can understand the what's the word I'm looking for? The respect, I guess, if you will, for money and how to handle it, and the perspective of managing the money in the right way. I think they can work out a good situation. It's not matching dollar for dollar, but it is having the same mindset. Just walking in agreement to understand each other and to be respectful in that way.
Okay. Tamuk. Tamuk, did you get lost?
Yeah, just take time before worrying about marriage to get to know each other.
Yep.
No, let me see. Let me make sure y'all can hear.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Just trying. Well, go ahead. Go to Bilal, and I'll see why you can't hear me. So.
Okay, Bilal.
Oh, okay. So I mean, just take some time to get to know the person, man. Because other than that, don't miss out on a real love just because they may not be at the same position that you're in right now. That's the best thing I can advise for. Because love is probably the most valuable thing in this world. So, that's what I got for it.
Okay. All right, Bilal.
I'm going to tell the sister, and I know I might have said some things contrary, but allow yourself to be led by the Lord. All right. I don't know what faith she may be or what have you, but the Bible references love so many times that if you just look at a brother's status, you may miss out. Allow yourself to be led, because he's going to send you someone that you will be a helpmeet to. And you never know that this brother may be the next Fortune 500, CEO, just because he meets you, but has nothing and just been waiting for an opportunity. And that goes for us men as well. Just be led by the Lord and pray about it. But like Tamuk said, it takes time. Don't rush. And see, because we get to a point where we want to rush. So take your time, learn each other, learn how to love each other, and then go from there. And that's basically all I have to say.
Okay. And Jay Gerald, I know you kind of shared some earlier, but if you want to.
Yeah, so always know, and I'm a witness for sure of this. Status and money is an up and down. At any moment, status can go away at the snap of a finger. Money can get taken away from you at the snap of a finger. And that's whether you manage it right or you manage it wrong. Someone could lose a job in a marriage, and then what's left if you're only married for the money? So the one thing that does always last, and the one thing that will cause you to bounce back, and the one thing that will cause you to bounce even higher than what you have already is love. Love is the constant that if you have that, you can make it through anything.
Yeah, that's great. I'm searching for I posted the other day, which was in reference to, in part in reference to this conversation. You can spend your time chasing love and run right past the love that you need. And because we all have our ideology about what love looks like, how love walks, how love talks, how much love is worth. And if you pursue that vision of love, you could be passing by the most authentic and the most powerful representation of love, which is what you need in your life. So I don't think you discount that because he's not at a certain financial level. I think you do come to learn whether or not he has financial habits that maybe he's not aware are bad habits, because everybody's not taught good financial habits. And so maybe he's not even aware of the habits that he's developed. But if you can bring it to his attention and he's willing to pivot from those habits and work with you on it, you may have run across the love that you need instead of passing up that love because he or she is not at the same level that you feel that you are at. You've got to always be open to the possibility that love will look and feel differently than you've ever experienced. I know you're seeing smiles because Tamuka's cutting up in the inbox. In his private chat. We're gonna put him in trouble. But I appreciate all of you for joining us. Thank you, Martez Turner. Thank you, Tamuk Scruggs. We can always rely on you for humor. Bilal Muhammad, thank you, sir, for coming. And thank you, of course, our senior associate producer, J. Gerald Harvey IV, and all of you on YouTube events, on Twitch TV, and on Facebook. Thank you for joining in. We're here each Tuesday at 8:30, and it's been a 2-hour show, which is a little longer show. Martez, we're not answering that question. You have to find out. So, to those of you that are viewing, remind me that these four cannot be in the green room at the same time. I'm just not going to deal with it. But if you want to be in the green room, inbox J. Gerald. We'll make sure you get there next time. We love the Love and Stuff community. We love you because you keep it real and authentic. And we love that many of you share your personal, sometimes very transparent and candid stories with us in the hopes that other people might grow from your perspective. And listen, there are people who want to remain anonymous, and we will protect your anonymity. But I love that people come and watch the show and they gain from it in a way that helps them make some pretty good decisions. And so we'll keep working to up our love game here in the Love and Stuff community. And we invite you to do the same by clicking share and clicking follow on the Love and Stuff page. Don't forget, go to the Shopify store. All of the product, all of our merchandise is 10% off through the holidays. You must use the coupon code SPREADLOVE. And 35% of the net proceeds are going toward us helping families. We want to help families during this time who might need some extra support as they pivot during this pandemic. We realize there's so many people outside of work, so many people that are connected to food banks. We want to do our part as a community to help them through these times. Thank you so much. I'm not even going to read I'm done reading that. Thank you so much. Have a great night and a great